Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellowshow. My name's Kyle. Tonight it is December 10th, 7 p.m. Central Time. We're going to be going over some of the player news that came out today. There was a lot of player news, a lot of COVID news, a lot of practice reports. So I'm going to kind of cover the news real quickly. I will take questions from the chat room. Saturday, I will not be able to make any videos, so this is it. If you guys do have questions, you can always type them in on the YouTube channel here or go find me on TikTok, Twitter. All the links are in the description below. But some of the main headlines today. A handful of COVID news. We did see that Jamal Williams is not going to be playing for the Detroit Lions. And then I did see that TJ Hawkinson is listed as questionable. But I went to the NBC Sports Edge here. I'm just going to read some of the main headlines that we saw today. The most important ones. On the 49ers, Debo Samuel, he was in full practice today. It was just a walkthrough, though. He has a chance to play. I'm assuming he's going to play. We'll know more info, again, probably before kickoff. So I'm assuming Debo Samuel's going to be good to go in this one. If you're banking on him, I think it feels quite okay to get him in your lineups. Joe Burrow with that finger issue, not on the injury report today. He is good to go. Deandre Swift, of course, ruled out in this one. Tony Pollard, they list him as questionable. He didn't practice all week. I'm not expecting Tony Pollard to be of use for the Dallas against the football team this weekend. Jarvis Landry was not listed with an injury designation. He missed a couple days of practice with the knee. Looks like he's good to go, so I like that. DK Metcalf was back at practice today. He had a foot and an illness thing. I think he's good to go. What's going on, Christian? Thanks for hanging out. It sounds like Melvin Gordon's gonna play. He was able to log limited practices in there. He was saying all the right things in the media, so I'm expecting Melvin Gordon to play. And again, the big question is, what's the divide between Javonte and Melvin? I think it's gonna probably lean slightly towards Javonte in this one, and we'll see if they get Melvin back into kind of like maybe a 40% of the workload. I think maybe a 60-40 split in favor of Javonte. Some more news here. Austin Eckler not on the injury report today, so good news for him. We'll get to some of the more of the Chargers stuff here, but Keenan Allen was ruled out, and it sounds like tomorrow, Saturday, is going to be a big day for some of the COVID news with Mike Williams and a couple other Chargers players. It sounds like they're leaving the door open for Mike Williams to play. And yes, I do like J.D. McKissic going forward. Outside of Antonio Gibson and Terry McLaurin, now that Logan Thomas is out of the picture, I think J.D. McKissic's the third best player on that team. So he's still going to be of use. I think in PPR leagues, he could be a top 20, top 25 running back the rest of the season. So I do like JD. I'm open to getting him in there as he's probably best used as like a flex. He's more of like a top 30 running back play. I don't love him as a running back, but if you have kind of a zero RB approach, he looks okay as an RB2. But he's not going to take too much off Gibson. I still think Gibson's kind of locked and loaded into a steady running back. Gibson's a fringe running back one the rest of the season. The Giants are going to start Mike Glennon against the Chargers here. I still like the Chargers defense, so we'll see what happens there. And yes, let's get to some of the Giants receivers. First off, Saquon Barkley doesn't have an injury designation for Week 14. They list Kenny Golladay as questionable. Golladay sounds likely to play, and so does Sterling Shepard. So those are the two receivers that I do feel good about. Probably not going to see Kadarius Toney. They've already kind of ruled him out. That's what I'm seeing here. So no Kadarius Toney. The door is open for Sterling Shepard and Kenny Golladay. I think if you are playing one of the two, I would prefer Sterling Shepard. Mike Glennon's not afraid to take chances. He's going to dump the ball off to Saquon. He's going to take his chances to Golladay. But I think Sterling Shepard's probably the strongest wide receiver play of the group. But Saquon Barkley, man, the way to attack the Chargers defense is with the running back. You can run on this team, the Chargers defense. So I think Saquon's going to be the best play of the Chargers here. Elijah Mitchell for the 49ers has been ruled out. So we're looking at a Jeff Wilson, JaMycal Hasty committee. Jeff Wilson was bothered by a knee injury kind of all week. He was limited in practice. So it looks like JaMycal Hasty is actually the healthiest running back on the roster. It's hard for me to recommend starting Hasty, but it wouldn't surprise me if he has a nice game. But I think Jeff Wilson's going to get the majority of the carries. On Debo Samuel, he's listed as questionable. It sounds likely he's going to play. He was able to get a full practice on Friday, but it was more of just a walkthrough. So I think, what time do the 49ers play? I think they are a noon game. Let me just open up another tab here. I want to look at the times that the games are going. One second. I hope it's a noon game. So unfortunately, San Francisco is an afternoon game. So if you have Debo on your team, just make sure you have a backup just in case. We're probably not going to know until they go out there an hour and a half before kickoff. So we're not going to know until after the noon game starts. So if you have a Debo hedge, make sure it's a 3:00 game or a Sunday night or a Monday night football game. But it feels good. I think I think we're going to see Debo on Sunday here. Again, Keenan Allen will not play. It sounds like Mike Williams has a good chance of playing. So I know I've been getting some Jalen Guyton questions. Guyton's going to be the number 2. Josh Palmer would be the number 3. I'm going to start Mike Williams if I can get him in there. And I think Jalen Guyton becomes an interesting top 36 wide receiver flex play if you need it. Do you think he goes to the regular workload? Are you talking about Debo? I would assume. If they're going to put Debo in there, they're going to use him as they would. And with the way that Debo's been playing running back too, no Elijah Mitchell, you're probably going to see a good chunk of Debo with some carries. So if they're going to put Debo out there, I'm open to him getting his full workload. Going on, Ron. Thanks for hanging out. Do you think Darrell Henderson gets his full workload, or Sunshine gets the early nod and is the better RB this week? So Henderson did log a limited practice today, and I believe he did log limiteds all week. Let me just double check this. For me, I don't have a good read on this. Sean McVay was saying very good things about Sony Michel earlier this week, and the fact that Henderson was active last week and they just didn't even use him. And here I'm seeing Thursday and Friday, both limiteds here. So Henderson's going to probably play. I think it's probably more of a 50-50 split here. If I had to choose one, I'm probably going to play Sony Michel just because, one, he is the healthier of the two, and he looked good last week in relief. So if you're banking on Darrell Henderson, you'd have to have a pretty good option behind him, I think, to use that option. But I'm leaning towards Sony Michel just a slight, just very slightly. But I like both. I kind of like both running backs as flex plays, low end RB2s. Any thoughts on yesterday's game? So I expected a good game, and it was at the end of the game. I didn't expect the Steelers to come out looking so flat and just kind of just sludging their feet for the whole first half. But Dalvin Cook, oh my God, he looked like a different play. He looked like he was the freshest player on the field. He was the fastest. He just looked magnificent. That was vintage Dalvin Cook right there. So that was good to see. Justin Jefferson with 15 targets. It felt like he could have had a lot bigger of a night, but you're going to take that. If Justin Jefferson's getting 15 targets with no Adam Thielen, he could be a league winner. So the Vikings offense, phenomenal. We'll see about Adam Thielen coming back next week. And then as far as the Steelers go, it sucks, but I guess as bad as that game was, everybody still got their fantasy points. Ben got his points, Najee, so did Deontay, Claypool, and Pat. So for fantasy wise, it was kind of what we expected. Everybody got their points, but I'm concerned about the Steelers going forward. Again, that offense is just they can't run the ball. They can't run the ball, and Ben's going to kind of dink and dunk until he hits on a deep shot. So it was a fun game, though. I'm glad I tuned back in a little more closely in the fourth quarter, but just surprise, man, 29-0. You can't be doing that. Don't care what team you're playing against. But some more player news. If you're relying on TJ Hawkinson, they listed him as doubtful for week 14 here. He was downgraded today, not expected to play. They only have one other tight end behind him. His name's Brock Wright. I'm probably not going to go with him if you need one. So I'm thinking Detroit Lions, no Jamal Williams, no TJ Hawkinson. I probably don't want to start anybody, and I'm starting to think Denver defense is probably a really good play this weekend. Osborne was busy with targets. I actually thought Tyler Conklin should have been used more, but Osborne did see, I think, 6 or 7 targets, but some of his targets were just kind of hard to catch. So I think Osborne did look good. That deep ball threat saved the night. If he didn't catch that in, he was only going to have maybe 5 points. So Osborne, he got the snaps and he got a few targets, but it could have been better. With Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, what do you think is the better RB this week? These line decisions are tough when it's winning. Yes. So they're both good plays this week. I think I'm going to trust Aaron Jones to be the better call. He's been the best running back in Green Bay for the last 2.5 years. I know A.J. Dillon's playing well, but you have Aaron Jones coming off of a bye. He got his legs under him the week before. He surprised us and played in that game. But I just think against the Bears, you're probably going to see A.J. Dillon close that game out. So A.J. Dillon's probably going to be in the third and fourth quarter getting a handful of volume. But Aaron Jones should be he should do the majority of his work in the first half. So I think I'm starting both guys. If I had to choose just one, I probably want Aaron Jones. But AJ Dillon both looks they're both running back twos this week, I would say. Seattle running backs. Alex Collins not on the injury report. Travis Homer is out. I think you're going to see a duo of Alex Collins and Rashad Penny. I'm not saying to start these guys. It's going to be murky. I think they want Penny to start. But Seattle running back, I don't know if you guys need that, but it's kind of a mess. AJ Dillon or JD McKissick. I'm going to go with AJ Dillon. AJ Dillon. They're 12. Here's the thing. They're 12-point favorites at home. I would expect AJ Dillon to get a touchdown at some point. So he has the better touchdown odds, and he's also going to get, upwards of 12 to 15 touches, whether that's 10 carries and 2 catches or whatever. So I think AJ Dillon is the better start, especially in any format. How much do you think Julio plays this week? Can he be trusted? So I have Julio on a team or two of my leagues here. One league I have to start him. One league I would have to, either bench Michael Gallup or Mike Williams. So I'm probably not going to use him. I do like Julio Jones just because they got no one else to throw the ball to. So even if Julio sees, 50% of the snaps, I think the probability of him getting targeted when he's in the game is very likely. So I think if you need Julio as a wide receiver 3, unless you want to give me your options behind Julio, who is Julio up against in your starting lineup, I could probably make a better decision that way. But I think I'm cool with Julio Jones this week. Hopefully he just keeps that hamstring intact. We did see that Darren Waller is out for week 14, so Foster Moreau's an interesting guy if you need a tight end. Brandon Ayuk or Russell Gage? So I would say Ayuk if Debo Samuel doesn't play. I think with the schedule here, we're looking at Atlanta. Atlanta plays at noon. Actually, those guys. Okay, so I guess I'm going to kind of group all these guys into the same question. So Ayuk, Gage, and Julio. If Debo plays, I like Ayuk the least. Cincinnati's defense, I think the 49ers offense, it's hard to trust a guy like Ayuk. Only if Debo is out, I'd be interested. So I'm going to say Ayuk's probably the last guy I'm thinking about here. So if you're looking at just Gage or Ayuk, I'm going to go with Russell Gage. He's been playing pretty well. He has a nice floor. And assuming this is a full PPR league, I think Russell Gage is probably the guy that you want in your lineup. But as far as Julio versus Russell Gage, I would say this. If your situation is you just need to win and get in and you want to just make the safe call, it's probably Gage is a safe call. But if you are kind of the underdog in the matchup and you need a banger to go off, it's probably Julio Jones against Jacksonville. So I hope that helps. Personally, I think I would go with Julio Jones over all three of these guys, but I think if you need the safe points, just go with Russell Gage. Next Jefferson, yeah, Jefferson. He did well, but it just sucks. He could have had a couple more touchdowns. It felt he could have had 3 touchdowns. It looked like. So Justin Jefferson's going to be a stud the rest of the way. So I love the Justin Jefferson. The Dolphins did put Myles Gaskin on the reserve COVID list, and the Broncos put Mike Boone on the reserve COVID list. So that's all, but ensuring Melvin Gordon's going to play on Sunday against the Lions. And here's the thing with the Broncos running backs, I think the Javonte Melvin question has been probably the most popular question I've gotten this week. And if you have either of them, I think you're playing them. This is a really good matchup against Detroit. It's in Denver. Denver's got they got the Demaryius Thomas, rest in peace, chip on his shoulder in Denver right now. So I think the crowd and the team are going to be kind of jolted up here. And it's the Lions. I just think you're going to see Javonte get the bulk of the work, and even if it's if it's 14 or 15 carries, Melvin's still probably going to get in there for 10 or 12. But I just think the matchup against the Lions at home, the Lions have no offensive weapons really in this game. No Hawkinson, no Jamal Williams. It feels really good for the Broncos to establish the run here. So I'm starting Javonte, and then I'm trying to get Melvin Gordon in my lineup too. And yeah, man, no, thanks for hanging out, man. I love answering questions, and hopefully we made some of the correct calls. Do you have any waiver wire defense you like going forward? Well, let's look at the schedule. So I just want to shout out some defenses that I like. So for week 15, Well, first of all, it sucks because Jacksonville plays Houston. Yes, Jacksonville, Houston. So we don't really want to start either of those defenses in that game. But as I look at it, let's see here. I'm assuming Buffalo's already owned, but Buffalo gets Carolina. The Arizona Cardinals get the Detroit Lions next week. It's in Detroit, but I still like Arizona. Miami Dolphins, week 15, they're going to get the New York Jets. So I do like Miami here. I kind of like San Francisco. They get Atlanta in San Francisco, so San Fran makes sense to me here. The LA Rams, I'm sure they're already rostered here, but they're going to get Seattle at home next week. And then probably Tampa Bay again, another defense that's probably owned here. But maybe it's the Vikings. The Vikings defense looked good for roughly like 3/4 of last night. So Vikings at Chicago Bears Monday Night Football. I could see Minnesota having a good grip on it. So that was the Week 15 games. Let's take a look at Week 16 here. But we're talking about like rostering a defense over the next few weeks. San Francisco gets Tennessee, so that's an interesting Thursday night football game. Cardinals against the Colts. I'm looking at Miami's interesting. Miami Dolphins are going to get New Orleans Saints. So Miami plays the Jets, and then they play the Saints. The Broncos have one of the best schedules. The Broncos, they get the Raiders next week. The Raiders offense just has not been clicking. Let me see what the Broncos get the next week too, week 7. I'm actually going to go to a different thing. I want to look at this a little bit better. 1 second while I pull up a fantasy schedule for you. I do know that the Broncos and the 49ers defenses are probably some of the better ads going forward. Let me read some of these for you. So this is the 49ers schedule. After Cincinnati, they're going to get Atlanta, Tennessee, and Houston. I feel really good about Atlanta and Houston, so that's 2 out of 3 there. The Broncos, they're going to get Cincinnati next week. I don't feel great about that. And then they get the Raiders and the Chargers. So they're fine. They're going to get Cincinnati at home next week. That could be a nice matchup here. I don't like them against the Chargers, but I like them against the Raiders. So I'm still going to say the 49ers are a better defense for me here. The Cowboys, they're going to get the Giants and the Washington football team the next 2 weeks here. The Saints are interesting. The Saints, week 16 and week 17, they get Miami and Carolina. So I kind of like the Saints defense there. And the Dolphins, the next 2 weeks, they get the Jets and the Saints. So the Dolphins are on the radar. And then the Chargers, they do get Houston in week 16. So that's probably a streaming candidate for you. It's just kind of tough. Like nobody has like a cupcake schedule going forward here that I'm seeing. Like it's unfortunate, but it's like the teams with the best schedules are the Jags, the Jets, and the Lions. They all play kind of each other. So, but I do like the 49ers. That's probably my favorite schedule going long term that I could reasonably use the rest of the way. I do like Taysom. I do like Taysom Hill going forward. He's going to perform like Jalen Hurts. He's just like Jalen Hurts. He's not going to wow you with his arm. He's going to make some big plays. He's going to make some bad plays, but the majority of his fantasy value comes with a rushing touchdown and 70, or 80 rushing yards. So basically when I start the game with Taysom Hill, I know I'm going to get 6 to 8 points from the rushing, and then I'm probably going to get 2 touchdowns, whether it's 1 rushing and 1 passing. He's good for probably 2 touchdowns, especially with that schedule. I do like the schedule for Taysom Hill. So yeah, Taysom Hill's a top 10, top 12 quarterback going forward. Good news for Alvin Kamara. He's good to go. He's going to be a smash play this week against the Jets. I hope they just let him loose. Ricky Seals-Jones practicing full today. He has no injury designation. He's going to be the starting tight end for the football team probably the rest of the season here. So if you do need a tight end, that might be the guy for you. Let me see what else we got here. David Montgomery, good to go. Allen Robinson's going to play. I'm not saying to start Allen Robinson. Let's wait and see how he looks with Justin Fields first. Again, Julio Jones is going to play. Mike Glennon on track to start. T. Higgins is going to play. Joe Mixon's interesting. He didn't practice all week with an illness, but it sounds optimistic that he's going to play. At any point, is Pitts worth a start at flex or putting him over Kittle? No, you're going to rock with Kittle. You're going to rock with Kittle the rest of the season. And I guess I'm curious, Christian, like who else would you be considering at flex besides Kyle Pitts? I think Kyle Pitts has only had like 2 or 3 good weeks. Otherwise, he's just been 4 points, 6 points, 8 points, kind of that, situation. So I don't even think he's a very good flex play right now. I actually wanted to look that up. Tight ends. So he's averaging 10 points per game, but for the most part, he's only been over 10 points 1, 2, 3, 4 times this season here. So I don't think he's really a great flex play either. I have 3 solid running backs, so I guess I wouldn't start Pitts the rest of the way. There you go. Assuming your trade deadline's gone, I don't know if you can trade him or move him, but it's hard, man. He's getting the targets that look good here, but he's not getting touchdown looks. He's just not getting any good red zone attention from Matt Ryan. That all goes to Cordero, Mike Davis, and probably Russell Gage here. So, at this point of the season, I think we are okay with saying no thank you to Kyle Pitts. Again, the majority of his production came in 2 games, weeks 5 and week 7. And then after that, it's been pretty much under 10 points the rest of the way. Good evening to Justin. Thanks for hanging out, man. Hope you're having a good Friday evening. No Saturday shows. I'll be traveling to Green Bay tomorrow. I'm going to be headed to the game on Sunday night, so I'm excited for that. So if you guys do need questions, you guys can always hit me up on Twitter or comment the video here or find me on TikTok. I will always reply there. Is this a must-win week in your fantasy? So it's interesting. So week 14, my league, we do these things. My most important league, we do these things called the Royal Rumble. So there's 12 teams in the league. You play everybody once, and because there's 14 weeks, that leaves 3 weeks left over where what we do is we just decide to play everybody in the league. So I'm not playing anybody this week. This week I'm playing the entire league. So the top 6 scores get a win, and the bottom 6 scores get a loss. So I'm projected to be one of the top 6 teams. I'm technically in the playoffs right now. I just need to. I can't get outscored by a guy by 58 points. I have a 58 point lead on a guy, so as long as I don't lose to him by 58, I'm safe. So it's not necessarily a must win. I just have to score. I just can't lose by 58 to this one opponent. So it's looking pretty good though. I'm on a 5-game win streak going into the playoffs, so it feels good. Do you think Trey Lance takes over at QB next season as Jimmy G? Do you think Trey Lance? I think so. I think the only way Jimmy Garoppolo would stick around is if he gets them to the Super Bowl or he wins a Super Bowl or something like that's like the only outcome where it makes sense. But I would expect Jimmy G moves on, whether he goes to play for the Giants or the Seahawks or something next year. I think they have to move on to Trey Lance. You got a 5 player. Yes, let's actually look at that. I actually had that up here. I forgot I was going to do the prop stuff today because I can't do a prop show tomorrow. So let me actually share my page here. All right. So if you guys are in a legal prop betting state, I have been logging about 5 prop bets per week here. Last week I was 5 for 5. I hit all of my prop bets. The week before I was 2 and 5, but I've been kind of playing well of late here. So I went through all the player prop bets and just kind of wrote down my favorite ones yet. I haven't selected who I want here, but I just went through each game and I put a handful of guys down. I think Tyreek, Kelsey, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, those are my favorites to score on the Chiefs side. I kind of feel good about a Josh Jacobs or a Hunter Renfrow touchdown. Slight outside chance for Foster Moreau. For the Tennessee Titans game, Julio Jones, Deonta Foreman, Ryan Tannehill rushing touchdown are probably the best options there. For the Seahawks, I like DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. One of those two are interesting. Alvin Kamara is going to score a touchdown, but he's got minus 175 odds, so it's not very great. Let's see. Taysom Hill rushing touchdown feels good for plus 150. I think I'm going to put that on the list. Ty Johnson, any touchdown? I don't know if I want to bet on a Jet. I do feel good about Cordero Patterson, minus 130. Maybe we get that Cam Newton rushing touchdown out of the way too. Nick Chubb's probably going to score tomorrow against the Ravens. Or on Sunday against the Ravens. I feel good about that. If I had to bet on a Ravens touchdown, it's either Marquise or Mark Andrews. Both guys looked good against the Browns a couple weeks ago. And then Austin Hooper. Austin Hooper's an interesting player this week because they've already ruled out David Njoku and they ruled out Harrison Bryant. So the Baltimore Ravens, They are the third worst team against the tight end. They've allowed 7 touchdowns. That's a better than 50% chance for Austin Hooper to score a touchdown, so I'm interested there. I think Antonio Gibson gets a touchdown, probably Ezekiel Elliott, but it's a tougher matchup for him. I think you could bet on any of the receivers to score as well. I think I like the Javonte Williams touchdown, but a lot of people are liking that. So I don't know. I have to go through and pick my final 5 yet. I like the Rob Gronkowski touchdown against the Bills, maybe. Devontae Adams is probably going to score on the Bears. I would say Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon score as well here. So I have to go through these and get these all rifled through yet. Javonte is a must start. The Lions have nobody to use on offense. They have Josh Reynolds and Jamar Jefferson and Godwin Igwebuike. I expect the Broncos to come out with heavy hearts. Again, rest in peace to Demarius Thomas. But Broncos are just going to be able to establish the run and just do whatever they want on the ground, I think, against the Lions. So start Javonte, even start Melvin. Yep. So I have Trey Lance in a Dynasty League too. Someone actually offered me Matthew Stafford last night for Trey Lance in a Dynasty League because I have a very good team and Trey Lance is doing nothing on my team. So which underdogs do you have winning? Let's actually go look at that. We'll go to DraftKings Sportsbook here. Underdogs. Wow, Cleveland's favored to win this game. Baltimore's an underdog. I'm going to take Baltimore here on the road. I'm going to take Baltimore on the road against Cleveland. I'm going to take the Saints. I'm going to take the Seahawks. I'm going to take I might take the Falcons. I might take Atlanta against Carolina here. I'm going to take the football team to beat Dallas. So that's probably the biggest one here. I like the football team against the Cowboys. The Broncos are going to roll. The Chargers are going to roll. Tampa Bay should be fine. San Fran versus Cincinnati. I'm going to go Cincinnati on this side. They're +2 here, but I think Cincinnati steals one. Packers are going to roll, and I would expect the Cardinals to win. So we'll probably need a new QB. Denver's going to be interesting next year for the quarterback spot. I mean, I don't think they want to give Jimmy Garoppolo any money, but like you think about Russell Wilson, Jimmy Garoppolo. I would like to see Gardner Minshew get a chance to start somewhere. I think he deserves a chance just to get a full season with a good team. Debo is listed as questionable. He got a full practice in today, even though it was just a walkthrough. He's a game time decision. It's hard to say. It sounds optimistic, though, that he's going to play. So I would expect him, as of right now, I would say he's likely to play. We're probably not going to see Tony Pollard this weekend. He didn't practice all week. He's got a torn plantar fascia. Not good. He needs a week off. So I'm expecting a heavy workload for Ezekiel Elliott. And yeah, I was because 2 weeks ago when these two teams played, I thought that was that game. So yeah, Lamar, I like that. Zeke or Javonte? Javonte. So this is a tough question because Zeke with no Tony Pollard, that feels kind of stupid not to use Zeke, right? But Javonte's got the better matchup. So if I had to choose between the two, I'm probably gonna go with Zeke just because I trust him. I trust him to be the lead back, and I think when time is that game? That game is Dallas Washington's at noon, Denver at 3:05. If we see no Tony Pollard, I think you got to use Ezekiel Elliott. There's the opportunity for him to get 20 touches in that game is probably way too great. So I would say if no Tony Pollard, which is very likely, you're going to go with Zeke. And Zeke's probably a top 5 running back with no Tony Pollard. So we'll go Zeke. My bad. But any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, I will get out of here in just a minute or so. If you guys need anything, you can always hit me up on YouTube or the Twitter machine. I think all the Steelers scared everybody. If you benched your Steelers last night, you looked good for about 3/4 of the game, but everybody was able to get their fantasy points by the end of it. I think the only guy who didn't do anything last night was probably Kirk Cousins, and I guess Tyler Conklin. But if you started Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne, you were happy. Basically all the Steelers startable guys, you were happy. And yeah, I like the Denver defense quite a bit. I think it was a 9-point spread there. I'm seeing Denver by 10. Denver by 10, 42.5 total. Packers Bears prediction. The Packers are probably putting up 30 plus. I'm seeing probably 4 touchdowns from the Packers in this one. They kind of have it. Let me see here. They have a low over under. They only have 42.5 total in this. I think this game's going over. I do think the Bears are probably going to sneak in maybe 2 touchdowns and a field goal or so. So I'm going to say something like 30-17, something like that. 30-17. And yeah, Kirk was fool's gold last night. I think it was 7.5. And the Packers are favored to win by 12.5. So it's looking like I don't know. I can't do the math right now, but Packers favored to win by 2 scores. Do you do podcasts or live videos strictly on Dynasty League discussions, by the way? I haven't done anything specific for Dynasty, but in the off season, I do mostly Dynasty content. I'm talking about rookies. I'll start looking at the NFL draft and putting out some thoughts on prospects and stuff. So in the season, I'm pretty much just taking start sit questions and doing. I'm assuming they're redraft, but if they are Dynasty questions, I do get trade questions, and people usually just say this is Dynasty. But I don't really do anything specifically for Dynasty. But in the off season, I'll do as much quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end content as I can on the incoming rookie. So that's when I get loose into that. And I guess throughout the summer too, I do a lot of Dynasty content. So, but for the most part, most of my weekly content is just all about, staying up to date on the player news, taking start sit questions. But if you guys do ever need Dynasty stuff, I could potentially get into a Dynasty. Maybe one night I'll have a Dynasty podcast each night. Is it worth to get the backup on the Fins? Nah, I'd say nah. They do play the Jets next week though, but Myles Gaskin's probably going to be just fine by next week here. And if you can tell me who the backup is for the Fins, I don't know. Is it Philip Lindsay? Is it Salvin Ahmed? Is it Patrick Laird? It's probably just some big dirty committee between 2 or 3 guys here. So I would stay away. It's Gaskin or bust at that point, I think. So we'll see. But anyways, I think that's going to do it for tonight's show. This was fun. Again, if you guys do need any questions, I'm probably going to be doing some TikTok stuff tomorrow. So if you are new and you guys got TikTok, check us out. All the links are in the description below. Hit me up on Twitter, comment this video. And I don't know. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight, though. Have a good rest of your evening. Have a good weekend. And good luck. I hope you all make the playoffs. I hope we all make the right calls. So let me see. I got 2 more comments in real quick here. Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Have a good night. Have a good weekend, Ron. Yeah, man, Dolphins, it's Gaskin or bust. So, but I appreciate it, guys. Have a good weekend. We'll see you on the flip side. Good luck. Hope you make the playoffs. Peace.